welcome everybody. This is Evelyn. I have two of my big messages of the day, which a lot of beautiful messages came through. And the underlying energy I'm looking at right now actually is true love in the bottom of the deck for the romance angels. A lot of beautiful messages. So please stay tuned. We're going to roll the die. I have the message of the day from the Metatron deck, Nature's Whispers and Shaman Dreams from yesterday and today, as well as this 7-card read on the table, which I kept to more of a minimum. It's not a real long one. And I want to get right into it, but let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths first. Take a deep breath. Another deep breath. And one more deep breath. Lots of love and blessings to everybody. I hope you're having a great day. It's a beautiful day. It's been really hot the past couple of days. Today's much better. It's more breezy and a little bit cooler. The ground is still very hot. But it's a beautiful day, and I thank you so much for joining me to share my beautiful messages that came through today, which were many today. I'm going to roll the die and see what's coming up for us. Today is the 12th, so August 12th, 2022. I believe the full moon was actually yesterday. I'm not sure what time it was, so we're getting past the full moon now for August. And what's coming up for August 12th, 2022? All right, we have Uranus, which is also Aquarius. Which is it? Is the full moon in Aquarius today? I can't remember. Isn't it the opposite side of Leo? So then we have the Gemini as well here with the twins. So 2 air signs, and then the number 7, which could be seen as an air sign as well. For me, it's a very feminine energy. It's the calm before the storm, but it's also the Chariot, so it's very calm and powerful at the same time. And it's actually a masculine number because it's an odd number. The 7 is the Chariot, which is Cancer energy. It's also July, which is Cancer going to Leo. So mainly it's Cancer with 2 air signs, Aquarius and Gemini, and Uranus, which is sudden changes. And Gemini is all about communication, and the 7 is the calm before the storm. So let's see where that takes us. Okay, let me put this bowl back here. All right, and say hi. Say hi, Teddy. When you drive by over there, you say hi, okay? You say hi to the people. Okay? All right. So this is the first Nature's Whispers read. Metatron, Nature's Whispers, and Shaman Dreams. All 3 together. This is from yesterday's read. They're both really important messages from yesterday and today. So I'm going to show you the picture of that one. And then we'll get through to the next one. So here is all 3 decks. We have Metatron on top with the underlying energies over here, and I end up with a pile at the end, and I have to count for numerology purposes. And then we have Nature's Whispers in the middle, and then Shaman Dreams at the bottom. Same thing, the underlying energies over here, and the pile that I had to count over there. I'm going to bring it in just a little bit so you can see the details of the cards, because they have a lot of details in them. See if we can get a little better than that. Yep. Okay. Okay. So the 3 piles that I had to count, the numbers were 13, 18, and 16 for this read. And this was at 11-17, which is 11 of alignment, the Justice card. which is also Libra, but that's the 11 of alignment, truth, and balance, and the 17 of the star, which is also healing and dreams coming true. 13, 18, and 16 is the death card or transition, the moon, and then the tower card. So they're both very kind of on the dark end energies, right? They're in the traditional tarot, the Rider Waite. The death card is very black, and so is the tower card, but the moon card is not. But it is that very shady kind of energy, right? It can be very romantic, but it also can be deceptive. So we have that in the middle of the 13 and the 16 of transition and sudden events, and we had Uranus as well, which is sudden events. And they added, for some reason I was told to add them up, and they add up to the 47, which is the 7 of Cups. Synchronicities, having lots of choices, heaven in your eyes, which can be confusion if you're not grounded, right? And the transition to the moon of romance suddenly. Transition to the moon and romance suddenly, with the underlying energies of yellow and joy. And that's that busy bee of the JC energy and the Mary Magdalene Buttercup yellow. To be in service, which is the 41, so the 1, the 41, and then in the hand, which is the 31, which is that energy of healing and using the palms of your hands to heal. 31 of the chaos of life. The energy of life is chaos, and the energy of death is control. And balancing between them, doing that juggling act to bring it to the center, so there's not so much discrepancy and there's not so much polarity there, and living a more balanced life, more in the middle. The Magician's joy and confidence in being in service, in love of hand, which is the power of life. The underlying energy of conquering your fears and opening a page with number 12, wisdom and hanging out, seeing your perspectives, and then the 10 of the new dawn, the 25 of the passion of the Knight of Wands, and the 1 again of the bee. This is all the underlying energies building up to that, the yellow joy card of the bee pollinating the yellow flower. And so I opened my energy medicine page. Oh, sorry about that. I opened my energy medicine book to a page today. So I was called to this book today. And of course her name is Donna Eden, so the Garden of Eden is also coming up here. And the page that I opened to yesterday was none other than 214, which is Valentine's Day. And I'll tell you what it says. So it opened, here's 214, to everything there is a season, to every season a rhythm. And the chapter that started the page before was the 5 rhythms. And by the way, it's chapter 7, the 5 rhythms and the drummers to which you march. And the little drummer boy has been coming up all week. Energy moves in waves. Waves move in patterns. Pattern move in rhythms. The ribbons or the rhythms give me a way to map the movements of my own psyche as well as the ever-changing state of the universe. And that's quoted by Gabriel Roth, Sweat Your Prayers, Movement as Spiritual Practice. So the page that we turn to, it says that we are each, Diane Connolly observes, a replica of the universe passing from season to season in a natural unending season of life. By carefully observing the Earth's seasons, the Chinese sages gained penetrating insights into the way nature conducts their business. In the seasons of nature, they found analogies for understanding the growth and cycles of all things under heaven. In addition to the 4 seasons of winter, spring, summer, and autumn, the transition times between the seasons were collectively treated as a separate season. These periods of transition were originally thought of as occurring for about 2 weeks, 4 times a year. So at each of the solstices and the equinoxes, so 2 weeks each, with one of the solstices or equinoxes at their midpoints. But in recent centuries, however, the 4 transition periods have been abbreviated into a single season, placed between summer and autumn, and compared with Indian summer. Indian summer prolongs the summer as if trying to hold off the death that inevitably accompanies autumn. The name of the Chinese system is often translated in the West as the 5 elements because the early pictograms showed the familiar, concrete, and observable. The 5 elements of water, wood, fire, earth, and metal, where earth is that 5th one. But the system is always concentrated on the processes within nature, not her static forms. The literal translation is, quote unquote, the 5 walks, or the 5 moves, and this dynamic emphasis will be ours as well. Thus the element of water corresponds with winter, wood with spring, fire with summer, and earth with the time of the solstice or equinox, and metal with autumn. And so each person's energies are characterized by one of these, and you know all that about Chinese astrology. And then on the next page here is how to release your neck and shoulder tension. So I'm going to just put this up close so you can read that if you'd like to. All right, because then we're going to go on. The rhythms of a man's life come up after that. And that just goes into an example of that. So that energy needed to come up today. So, and remember that was coming up as Valentine's Day, and we have Aquarius coming up with Uranus, which is that time of the year, Aquarius. To everything there is a season, to every season a rhythm, and how to release your neck and shoulder tension. The 4 transitions, like they described, right, the 2 week of the equinox and the solstices, they combine now into the Indian summer, which is the earth element. And let's see here. So yeah, and again, the little drummer boy was referenced from me in my downloads as I was reading through that. And if any of you, I'm an ox yin energy, which is metal. And what was coming up right now is the sheep fire energy, which is actually both yin and yang, right? So ox metal is yin. But I didn't see it with whether it was distinguished as yin or yang, but the sharp fire that it is now is both, right? Because the sheep is yin, the fire is yang. And the lucky numbers were coming up as 1 and 6. And of course we're in summer right now. So the Indian summers from, it's going into September, trying to extend the summer farther out, where 2 are conquering their fears, and this was at 1141, the alignment of love, the Ace of Cups, the Holy Grail, 2 conquering their fears and opening pages, healing dreams and wisdom with new perspectives, in the new high vibe dawn, the destiny of the Valley of the Sun instead of the Valley of Death, the 25 of the Knight of Wands, inspiring that heart energy to be pumped up, to the magic bee, the buttercup yellow of joy, in passion for life, from the red, orange, yellow of the lower chakra system brought up all into the yellow. So, and that's interesting because more stuff about that came up at the end today. 2 sets of wings, a sun and a heart, and pollination of joy and happiness. At 1144, the alignment of the 44, which is the 4 of Cups, and it can be the Atlas energy in the numerology book, but it's more of a social worker atlas as opposed to the 10 of Wands, which is very much a weight of the world atlas type of energy. The first card being the Christ dimensional gateway of the 33, which comes up in my numbers as the bridge, the 40 bridge, the carpenter and the Christed one. So in other words, his human side and his Christed side. The 2 wings, 2 pillars, and 2 flames, which notice they're 2, 2, and 2 is 6, which the 33 is also a 6. And then the wings come up as the Win of G and S, which is God and Sophia. The pillars were coming up as pills of ours, right? Which pills can be an annoyance. And then the flames come up as the FL of the fluid and flush, and the aims as, which can be dirty, a pole, so that can be very dirty energy. The fork for spreading nets. But it also means I love, to feel love, the ability to love. So again, the bitter and the sweet. And remember, Mary means bitter in the baby name book. So it's about both sides of it. The channel and the basin, the bath, the pool, the cistern, and also the water and the ox were coming up here. And then the human, man, the human, the flames. So the flames literally were coming up as the fluid human, or the fluid soul, the fluid love. And then the light was coming up with the flame, where light is, Lig, it means flame. And then HT is height. So the flame, the light is literally the height of the flame. It's the air that feeds the flame that makes it more and more, that makes it grow up. And as you all know, that the air, increases the fire. That's why air and fire get along well. But here specifically it was coming up as light is the flame's height, and also the lie of giving without that energy of Jesus or Christ, that unity consciousness. So the first card out here was was that the 33? So the 33 was the first card out, and then was the 28 of the twin flames double diamond, the two sets of eyes. Remember, diamond is two almonds or eyes. Untying the karmic knot in the electromagnetic grid with the Queen of Wands to stretch and lunge to release that energy up. The orange of the aura and the NGE, which is to unite or join with God. Time and year. The person of opportunity, eye and face, small, little, and scorpion all came up with it. The aura of the scorpion, and that's orange. The aura to unite with God, with eye and face and little scorpion, or three-headed shrew connection, right? So the beauty and the beast, so to speak. And scorpion, I was guided to break that down as well, where the score, which scoring something is cutting something to get it started, the unyoking, the separation, the disconnect or the release, the dismissal, the retirement, putting the horse out to pasture, so to speak, the stud, the camping place, the troop, the band and company, the rock, the pinnacle, and the straddle pin, which was very interesting because the one card talks about straddling both worlds, and then the pin has to do with my diagram of the pin and how the masculine and feminine work together. And also pin is the pie in Jesus, and pie is the equal parts, right? Half and half, the equal distribution, the equity. So, and then the pion in Scorpio is any of three semi-stable mesons, the really tiny particles, the intermediate between the electrons and the protons, or halfway point, like the midpoint of the body, balancing your masculine and your feminine, where these particles are they're positive, negative, and neutral charged, composed of up and down quarks and antiquarks, or very tiny particles. The pawn, the counter, the supervisor, the pioneer, the vertical, the section or department, the duct, the riser, and the flower peony, or the plumb line as well, right? The plumb line is what makes things even, right, or level. So the scorpion comes up as the straddle pin vertical, separating or cracking open those unsure who are halfway or feeling small. The pinnacle, the supervisor or pioneer, or cut, pawn, unable to be halfway measures. It's either all or out, lead or cut. The horse out to pasture. They would rather retire than not do it their way. So that's what Scorpion's coming up as. The separation of three semi-stable go-betweens, the positive and negative and neutral, or unable to decide, composed of the quarks, which is Q, arcs. And remember, the Q is the masculine and the feminine, the circle of the feminine, the line crossing into, right? So the insemination of the egg is the Q. It's also the 17 of dreams coming true and healing of the arcs, the quantum tiny particles that can leap to other dimensions, sustain the divine masculine and divine feminine, and neither of them at the same time, or indecisive, the top of the vertical pillar, right? Because there's nowhere to go from there, or the dismayal of the vertical, the riser, the cutting of the peon, the shock to the system of subatomic threesomes, the rock that stays plumb at center point, refusing to separate by countering, Very interesting the way that came up there. So refusing to separate by countering. So if you get, it's like the same energy of going to one polarity and then feeling into the other polarity to bring yourself back to the center. So at 1220 was the 42. And then I'd written down 214 for Valentine's Day, which is the 2 of the High Priestess, Divine Feminine, and the 14 of the Temperance card, the Patient Angel of a Higher Love. So it's literally coming up as the High Priestess or Psychic and the Patient Angel. At 1220, which is the Hangman and the Wake-Up Call, of the 42, which is the 2 of Cups, going with the flow on the Whispering Bench, on the Salt River. The King of Cups looking up and shedding diamond light on the shadow in order to gain clarity of. The 41 of the Ace of Cups, as above so below, and the compassion of Jesus plus Christ, and the life bulb of the Magdalenas, phased or raised from the womb to his tomb. The double diamond stars of yellow and pink and gold all over. The 4 of letting go and time for release. Remember, 4 has to do with survival, where 8 is about manifesting dreams. It's time for release here in Indian summer, where it quote-unquote peaks. So here's that King of the Mountain energy again as well. The 46 of the 2 children hugging each other in the authentic self of asking, who are you today? And remembering that the portal is the upside down tear, which the 2 together, the shape of the tear and the shape of the keyhole, is the 8. The teardrop and the keyhole are parts of the 8. The tear coming out of the eye, which the eye is also like a tear shape. The pressure release, the dance of the masculine and feminine, and God all at the same time. The liquid gold that is compassion, the connection of compass, of direction. From summer to fall, when the heat is on, where the cards came up 13, 14, 15 here, which is the higher realms, right? So we have, that's supposed to be the 13th realm of God, and and God's closest energies. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 3, 4, 5D, and then 10, 11, 12, and then the 7D. So 7's coming up as a very significant number today. The 13, 14, 15, which also references the death and transition at the 13 of the 14 and 15, which are the angel and the devil, right? The angel and devil on each shoulder, and then the head or God in between. So this includes the 4 of the Emperor, the 46 of the inner children, which is the masculine and the feminine, not just one or the other. The Emperor, though, is the chief staff, which is God, the only one who's in control, and the children of the 46, which are all his children, in transition of the angel and the devil on each shoulder, and Atlas in between, which holds up the head, the pillar of light, the cross and the he of the pillar of light, which is the he, she. Remember, she is both he and she. The pillar of light, where at the bottom of it here, of the pile of cards, was the 44 of the beacon of light, like the lighthouse, where the waves hit the mountain. And at the top of it all is the silver of the 30 of the union and home of the warrior of light. From the calm waters, the sword and the stone, and the purple moon, and the 0 point union and separation all at the same time. The 52 of the Queen of Swords, Big Bird, with triangular masculine prism pillar, the pyramid with the Queen of Cups, 38, the Mary Magdalene energy of the light body activated and heating up the grid. The Divine Feminine is the chakra system and the related auric bodies. The Divine Masculine is coming up as the lymphatic system of the physical body of love and light. Without fluid and light, it's just a mass pile of bones. The 55 of the Shaman's Truth at 1256, the Hanging Man and the 2 of Swords in their knowing. The Shaman's Truth of simplicity and peace, and how the healing hand. The hand in the picture here, drawn like a chakra, the hand looks like a 5 chakra chakra, the root power of the earth, the Indian summer, walk away and within to rest and pause to the Om. The 48 of walking away and within, and then the Om symbol of the 30 with the arc, but it's really the upside down arc, because the arc comes up as like the rainbow, and the upside down one is the suspension bridge, like the smile, with the crown on top. So the 30 has a smile above it, and then the diamond above it. The diamond light and the arc of energy, and the 30 of the union, the 3 of the Trinity, and the 0 of the human, embodying source energy, walking away and within. To the SAG, S-A-G is the Screen Actors Guild union. The SAG is the union, the suspension bridge, sagging from point to point, with the diamond point at the middle, at the vertical point. The diamond is the smile within. The vertical pillar and the horizontal line. The indigo star, Sirius, whole and complete. The star that you are. The vertical and horizontal diamond and double diamond twins. 21, which again is referencing whole and complete in the world. The 2 and the 1, right? The masculine and the feminine. The Sirius of Beetle and Bella, the B and B. And Procyon, which is pro-Zion, the pro-Scion, the pro-original descendants, the Emerald Order. And this is the winter triangle of Sirius, Betelgeuse, and Procyon, but Betelgeuse is coming up as the B and B. It comes as 2. The winter triangle, to try new angles. The Sirius B and B of positive or proton descendants here. The indigo leadership of the 8, dancing, of the spiral, the do-si-do, the stairway to heaven with flame in right hand and ring and 3 keys in your left. 3 semi-stable go-betweens, or right with 3 diamonds, 1 big one in the middle and 2 smallers around, again referencing the angel and the devil of the shoulders and the Atlas Godhead between. The 3 of the abundant awakening and the flowering of life. The 45 of the purging and the sunset, where you are held each evening. Notice that evening is even. So the sun gazers do it at sunrise and sunset. And here it's coming up saying that, right? To purge each day in the sunset, because you're being reflected by your ancestors in the light of the sunset, which evens the playing field, so to speak. And then when I looked up the playing field, it was coming up as a daycare in Madison, Wisconsin. And Madison is one of my new little nieces. But it's a multicultural daycare. They're very proactive on accepting all religions and all races and all cultures. And then this was also a music concert, the playing field, August 26th and 7th, the Irish Music in Clane, GAA Campgrounds, CO Kildare. And then the killing fields were coming up, which is Cambodia, which just came up the other day, 1984. And the New York Times journalist, who was native Cambodian, who helped them to get stories there, was left behind because he was Cambodian. He got held there and wasn't allowed to go. They couldn't get him out. So you can watch that or read the story online if you'd like to, the killing fields. But Cambodia is coming up again, so there's something about Cambodia. And so I looked that up to see if there was any news about that, and what came up was the U.S. returning looted relics to Cambodia. At 121 is the magician in the world, the 54 of the Page of Swords and the message, the castle on a cloud of higher realms and magic, the dock in the sunset, under the boardwalk, getting some under the boardwalk, some fun. So anyway, under the boardwalk's coming up, but the dock the pier that goes out into the ocean was coming up like the trail, the sine wave. The rocket's trail to the castle in a cloud was coming up as the same as the dock. The 35 of the wounded warrior and the Kundalini release up that it leaves, and then the reflection of the Kundalini that it leaves behind, the residue. At 1, 2, 3 jump, the double rainbow, the reflection of itself. The Knight of Cups of 39 and the Emerald Order coming up, the heart of the rainbow, where the waves meet the mountain and lights them up. So again, at that dividing line, that midline point. Remember, the energy becomes the wave, becomes the pattern, becomes the rhythm. And both the 21 and 19 were coming up here, where the 21 is the world, the whole, the planet, and the 19 is the sun and the stars. So again, referencing the difference between the planets and the stars, that they're different. The electric wave creates a pattern of hitting the mountain over and over again, right? Repeating patterns over and over again. It keeps beating on the mountain until the mountain lights up. The 44 of the Atlas energy and the grounding, integrating, and mastering on how to receive love. So the waves keep pounding and pounding that love into the mountain until it gets it and it lights up to dance to the 44 of the 3D, which becomes the 8 of the Do-Si-Do in the 5D. The 127, which is the Magician and the Ace of Wands, which again, the underlying energy of this new deck is the 11, again, of alignment, with the choice to come together, and prior to that, seeking beauty of the 44 in the 3D. The choice to come together in the 43, that love matters, referencing again that we are humans, we have matter, and we have to live in these human bodies as well as in the other world. Letting the old ship sail, and the bird to open up to hand fasting. The 49 of the 9 of Cups and the Get Your Wish card, to get your wish. And then heighten your vitality, heighten the flame with the light, the height of the flame. The 8 dancing with open heart in a breakthrough, a leap into the waves, the belly flop. He dives, she flops. Beetle and Bella in service under the water with the little seahorse. The 41 of self-love, spiritual love, and new love. And the synchronicities of the sign and the sine wave of the octopus teacher who dies having their children, right? The octopus doesn't live past birth. So instead of giving birth, she's fostering a seahorse instead, corralling in the reefs with algae. And Algae's coming out. Algae is the name of my pediatrician for my kids, and she's wonderful. So again, corralling in the reefs without algae, or perhaps algae. And then the 44 was coming up as the 3D to the 11, which when I do the numbers backwards comes up as the 60, which is instant manifestation. So aligning with instant manifestation, where in 3D the 44 is not. At 134, which is the Magician and the 8 of Wands, the energetic exchange or arrows of love, the first card out here is the 21 of the World and the fresh approach to what's been done already on the rainbow road to Never Never Land, where the land meets the sea so far from thee, seeing the earth from another place, where the tree has roots. You can take me there just like a prayer. So it's coming up again. Your voice can take me there, just like a dream. You are not what you seem. So that's coming up from Madonna and the Mother. And this was then at 144, the 19 of the Sun, to shift your energy. Remember the wave and the pattern and the rhythm going back and forth between your masculine and feminine, from the world to the sun, upward, and then between your masculine and feminine on the horizontal plane, from the planet to the star and the inner earth, in the mothership hovering over the land, realizing you are the ship. The 42 of the 2 of Cups, let love be your beacon. The mountain, remember the beacon is also the bee and the con, right? The lie that we tell ourselves. The mountain, the beacon, and the tree is where the love and the light come together, or Indian summer. The 16 of sudden events and the tower of inner truths, at the base of the tree, inside the Never Never Lands, within the base of the tree that you never see because they're so small, they're tiny particles. The 40 of the Page of Cups, to show your support of fairies and flowers and birds and the little vulnerable ones, and the man in the canoe or the whispering bench, the innocence. The 45 of the 5 of Cups and the empowerment in purging, in the eyes tearing up at sunset or sun gazing, finding peace. The 23 of the King of Wands, that you are worth it. Your vision of her in the tree with 7 candles at the seas at sunset horizon, her eyes on you, willing to let go of turbulent seas to see you and the sunset together in a boat just for two. Row versus wade. Wet feet or dry. The 25 of the Knight of Wands, keeping your dreams alive. As blue baby blows a kiss from the autumn mist, Puff the magic dragon who lived by the sea, sea, sea. With your eyes, with your emotions and your heart, and the sea of Christ unity consciousness, which, remember, the little boy is the shy Jackie Paper, taught to be a man, but when he grew up, Puff lost their confidence and withdrew back into his cave. He got shy again, right? It's easy to stand up for your kids, but not so much for yourself. And this was at 201 of the Divine Feminine and the Masculine again. So it's time to live for you with the King of Wands and the Knight of Wands and the Wounded Warrior. So 3 fire signs, the King of Wands, Knight of Wands, and the Wounded Warrior. In a culmination of that vision of the Wounded Warrior's path, into the fall is all dried up. And then it goes into my birthday season, which is 9/18, and I'm only bringing it up because the 18 cards then came up, and I was guided to count from now, the time I did this read, to my birthday, which was 38 to 39 days, which is the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups and the Knight of Cups of being love. From the 18 to the 19, and my birthday is just before midnight. So where I was born in Memphis, it's actually the 18th, but where I am in Pennsylvania is actually the 19th, because it's an hour later than when I was born. So it's actually the 19th, even though my official birthday is the 18th. The bottom of the deck here, or the bottom of the pile, was the 36 of the Atlas, the 10 of Wands. And the intuition. At the top of it all is the 29 of being present in the moment to your gifts and contemplation. Present to thoughts versus the intention connection. The little girl is coming up as a gift, and with her beast wondering, what if it's true? The butterfly lioness and her beast, and the 18, which the 18 is the moon, and it comes up for me as the purple moon, as the 0 point of the bouquet that you are. The green maiden on a horse with butterfly nearby in the Garden of Ease den on the carousel ride of your life. And I just wrote new experiences, but I was getting next stop, just like on the train, next stop of new experiences and possibilities, the romantic notions or supplies near the castle on a round table. 18 nights of 38 of the Queen of Cups as her vines grow around and up the tree in acceptance of his love. The portal and the midpoint and the space between. The land meets the sea, meets the sky, meets the I am. All shift points each day, week, season, to just be at those times. So it's calling us to do our meditation and just be, or just be still during those transition times of the day, the week, the year, the season, even the leap year on the 29th of February. The shift. To be in it, to be in all three, the positive, negative, and the neutral. The 0 point field, surrendering to all that is and knowing you are all of it. At 2:14, none other than Valentine's Day again, where the 24 card came up of the Queen of Wands, the wild child, to be your best self always, thy priestess and the angel. Won't you be my Valentine, my sweet heart? The mermaid that's the maid of the sea. She's made of the sea. Blue-green sea, riding her seahorse, all grown up. Now you see, she is made of the sea, the salt and water, and he the horse of the sea, riding her waves. The 50 of the 10 of Cups, of emotional fulfillment of the happy family, the tree potential gateway, opening up the heart of the tree, the mountain, the go-between, the 48 of the walking away within, sticking out, and then going inward in the dance of hope and happiness at the sea, sea, sea. Seashells, she sails by the sea, the whispering bench, shore. The whore within the shore and the horse, the dividing line between heaven and earth. The 12 of the hanging man and seeing wisdom by new perspectives, the expansion of wisdom and hand fasting. Thanksgiving, where the shaman meets the explorer man and don't eat meat at all, but rather share rainbows and hot air balloons. And right at that moment, I stopped to see what Teddy was eating, because he was eating something that didn't sound right. And I found a little mini, like, Christmas light at the door. And it has the nails in it, you know, because you stick them in. And I don't know how he doesn't hurt himself, but he didn't hurt himself. But this little mini Christmas light was at the front door. And I wasn't sure if it was from the lamp there, because it didn't look like the little light bulbs from the lamp. But either which way, at 2:36 is the High Priestess and the Atlas energy again of the weight of the world and the Divine Feminine. As the young buck delivers the little girl, as the man reaches out, expanding the landscape from mountain to mountain, she able, in high vibe form, to leap now, because she's now fading away, because her vibration's getting higher, she's now able to leap into his world. And the mailman arrived right at that point. The 15 of the shadow child, clinging to the tree. Remember when you're afraid to hug a tree and catch your breath, that father and mother will always be there for the little girl who's now all grown up. So it's again the parting of the father and the child, or the mother and the child, that not to be nervous or anxious, because they'll always be there. The 2:43 to 44 right there, and a 43 was coming up all this morning too in today's read. The 43 of the 3 of Cups coming together to the 44 of the 4 of Cups of learning how to receive love. The 33 of the Christ unity consciousness of deliverance, of unity, to be gentle with yourself on this journey and process. The little girl and the son, and the 5 of change, freedom, and expansion, and clearing out the old to make room for the King of Cups and unconditional love in the ideal course of action. As the community calls, the lady in the lake or the pond, the little fairy girl chariot is making ripples in the water as the ancient ones stand by. The waves in the vortex pattern, in the rhythm of each step that she takes, every step you take. And so I'll be watching you is coming up again. And that was coming up with my little great nephew calling to my little great niece, because he's telling her he didn't abandon her in deliverance. The 9 of the Hermit, painting the perfect setting from God's love to rising sign, to sun sign, to the moon sign. So it's coming up as God's love. The energy is coming in from God's love, like when you're born as a child, right? You come from source, straight from source. You become your rising sign, and as you grow up, you become your sun sign, and then your moon sign as you grow up, because you're coming into who you truly are already, because the moon you're already supposed to be. So you get very comfortable with yourself in your moon sign. At 2:51 is the High Priestess and the King of Swords. And these energies as you grow up is on the 30 of the Union Adventure of bridging the gaps, the sag, right? The gaps of the sag, the union, the smile, the suspension bridge from point to point. The sag suspension bridge, the conch shell, the algae, the mouthpiece that connects the mountains from sea to shining sea. America to America, from Europe to Africa. The 46 of that little girl and her unicorn, that soulmate bond with perpetual horn of the unicorn, drilling into others to love across their differences, that at heart we are all the same. The 46 of the inner children in gratitude and appreciation for each other, even if one is an adult and one is a child. And the 34 of the 8 of Wands, of the energetic exchange and arrows of love, of allowing yourself to be vulnerable in that energetic exchange. As 9 candles, the Hermit flame is getting little fairy girl on a leaf and set her on her way down the Borealis River, blanketing her in sweet dreams to not be afraid. Source is with her always as she makes her way down the Borealis River of dreams. The three of the Empress, the mother unicorn of the land, meets the dolphin daughter of the sea, celebrating their differences and activating the Atlas brain on fire. Right on the beach where the land meets the sea, soaking up the water and the rays. And then Esther Williams was coming up from the card because she looks like she had a bathing cap on, just like Esther Williams, which is really funny because there's a connection between me and my twins' names there. But talking with Jen, I was talking to Jen too about a certain topic when this came up. And like everything right at that moment was synchronizing, and I was cracking up because the names were synchronizing, and the energy of what I was talking about and what my daughter and I were talking about were all synchronizing together. The 1 to the 62 to the 2 was coming up as the prison between the masculine and the feminine. The divine masculine with tidy house of the divine feminine heart ablaze, the prison between, and the will of the wisp. The underlying energies of the 324 of the Empress and the 24 of the Queen of Wands. The 2 of the High Priestess, divine feminine beloved, and the heart on fire with radical acceptance for the wounded warrior who lost their way, getting back to integrity, repairing the veil with forgiveness, repairing the spine and the binding, the moving parts, reopening the wound to sew it back up after clearing it out. And 324 is coming up as the Empress and the Queen of Wands as well. So that can be that mother and daughter type of energy, or even mother-in-law and daughter energy, or grandparent. The bridging of the 2 pages and Jackie papers, the 2 mountains, the 2 trees, the 2 countries, and purging it out together. Never attached, yet always connected, with room to breathe and grow. Just like the basement floor, you leave room for it to grow. Tying all the pages of the story together so that it makes sense. They couldn't put Humpty back together again because Humpty had to heal himself. Even though she tried to glue all the elephant pieces back together over and over, she had to learn patience to fully heal, to hear the risky whale song resonating from deep within. And the month before your birthday, is the time to purge out the old. And then Sophia Loren came up as I was getting connection there. The 35, 40, and the 18 to 19. And I think Sophia Loren, I think, is actually Libra, but it's Raquel Welch that is actually Virgo. They both are coming up here. But I was getting the 18th to the 19th of September and connection there. The 35 and the 45, the 61 and the 31 was coming up as different ages. And so I was guided to look back at these time periods and what those periods were. So I'm not positive yet at the exact message that was coming through. But it was the energy of the time when I was 35 is when my daughter was born, so that was easy. But the 45, so you might want to feel into that yourself. Age 45, what happened? And then a lot of you are not going to be the age 61, but then 61 and then going back to 31. So it went up and then it went back to 31 again. So there's that energy of new things and birthing and then purging as well, right? When your babies leave the nest, whatever the stage of growth was. And then the 61 is coming up because that's referencing not my year of birth and my birthday coming up in September. And the resonating or the resonating, the reasonating. And remember, Nat is unforgettable. The reason something was unforgettable. And then purging 16 years was coming up, which reflects the 61 portal. And then the energy of the etheric heart in the hand, where then I went to work, where I worked at University of Penn Hospital for 25 years, learning to heal with the universe. The wounded warrior's compass and the bride's veil, the whale's song and the universe's hand. At 353, which is the Empress and the Knight of Swords, the first card of the 9 in the Hermit, which the 9 is also the 1 in the all. The green moth dances on one foot, pointed toe, but not the finger. And then the lime finger came up earlier for me yesterday as well, or a finger lime. But here the toe is pointed, but not the finger, so no finger pointing. Over and under the sine wave pattern, the rhythm of your heart, in crown games where you're doing the dance of the 8 and the right use of power. Off with their heads as the emperor or king removes their mask to drift down the freshwater river, and patiently experiencing life as it comes. At 3:57, which then that day my daughter's friend came over because she was engaged. So that was something new, and she hadn't seen her in a long time. The 3 of the Empress and the 57 of the separation, disappointment, or heartbreak. And the 19 of the Sun and the falling angel. The Sun as the falling angel. The angle of the fall. And again, I'm getting that light. You know how like Chichen Itza has that special thing where the light hits the snake's tail at a certain time of the day, and then it moves over. I forget what it does exactly. It was so long since I've been there. But the 53 of the Knight of Swords, stranger, who's curious to see if they land on target. So perhaps someone's, there to see if it lands, the light lands where it's supposed to land exactly at the right time. At Cannonball Run and Titanic all rolled into one, allowing the fall and diving deep. Cannonball or swan or belly flop in between. The Hermit's dance of the angel and the sun in Swan Lake that connects to the bat's cavern, but only through the water underground. So it's again like getting to that next room, but you can only do it if you go under the water and swim across. At 4:02, which is the Emperor and the High Priestess. And then there were 16 cards of the Tower. 16 cards of the Tower, and at the bottom of the pile was the 59 of the Wailing Tree, and the 59 is that War Within of the 5 of Swords. And at the top of the pile was the 55 of the Root, and the Truth of the Shaman, the Farther Gate. The Truth of the Excalibur, and the Bold Step Forward, where 2 gates and 2 suns, where a cave was blasted wide open, where the sun had never shone. So there's definitely a reference to the butt there, and down under, and the gates of hell. The root of all evil, the root of the Shak-Ra system, and Ra is the sun god, where he expressed in rays, phased arrays, where the father and son first separated, causing a crack in the earth, the day the earth stood still, the divine masculine settling into his own cave. So it's literally saying that the earth or the sun, or one of them is a piece of the other, right? So if the sun is the father, it's coming up as, and the earth is the mother energy, right? And the moon's coming up now as the daughter energy, as well as the earth of the core of the earth, right? Because she gave birth to the daughter. So it's about the sons and the daughters leaving, the mothers and fathers, but literally coming up here as going off on their own, like a piece of the rays of the sun cracking off from the portal of the father, right? The central sun. As the father urges him to come home, back to the source of his rays, that his rays would burn out someday, and then you'd come back and need me. But in his cave, he took a rest. The 58 of the 4 of Swords in the 5D connection, and the vanishing mirror of ego sublimation, smashing their particles at each other until they could accept themselves as their own reflection. The 54 of the Page of Swords and the message of the crossing, the test of walking halfway onto the bridge without help, the balance beam, through half a tree, and the initiation of thee, where the light portal awaits, the happy place between pillars, the totem, of course, where they can piggyback in peace, with the 60 of peace and the watchers in the desert who made it all possible. They made it to the other side, 1-to-1. They're great, as the tiger and the lion lost their color, and now they look a lot the same. The 17 of the dreams coming true in the eye of the needle with the intention, the tension of the push and pull of the tent connection, where ellipsis is needed, ... You get my drift. The 30 of the horsemen, heralding in the changes of union, with white tails on their vehicle, like a wedding vehicle. And the 4 of the emperor, the cat ER pillar, the speed junkie, or the M-cat, or ground control to Major Tomcat, or J-cat, with precision audio solutions, or mentally unstable person, the twisted cat, or with no hair and multiple lesions, or adhesions, or discs. An opportunity to align here in the deep quiet of meditation and stillness, in that high vibe deep diver energy inspired to gather with the community, in sacred covenant, the 7 again of the vehicle, the chariot, open to come together, in the 43 of coming together in overflow, of overwhelm and plenty, the Queen of Swords of the 52 straddling both worlds and wandering between, as the 15 or the dust devil moves out of stagnation, again the horse put out to pasture, the stagnation, the 57 of separation under the natural green pressure, in amazing unmarked trail of grace and revelation, in the 59 of the inner war of the wailing tree of reconciliations. So again, that's the reconciliations within, and now making, and then as above, so below, as within, without. So once you can reconcile differences within, then they become reconciled without. The 5, 17, 18, 19 here of the star, the moon, and the sun, and the 5 of change, freedom, and expansion, and the Hierophant. Sorry. That was the full read for that day. Sorry about that. I was going into something else. So then the read from today, and this is the read from today, so the same exact setup, but different cards. I'm going to show you here. See if it'll clarify a little bit. There we go. So again, same thing, Metatron on the top, Nature's Whispers, and Shaman Dreams at the bottom. And I'm going to bring it closer up too so you can see the pictures. There we go. Okay. So Metatron, Nature's Whispers, and then Shaman Dreams. So this is the message from today. So today is the 12th, of course, like we talked about. Yesterday was 11 of Justice to the today of the 12 of the Hanging Man, and yesterday being the 25 of the Knight of Wands, today is the Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands and the Hanging Man. The inspiration, the excited child to go hang out and see new perspectives or awaken and come out. So I was getting energy. I was actually watching Vivian Chauvet, and she was interviewing like an animal whisperer today. And I was definitely connecting with that. Like, so when they were doing some healing on her dog and her partner's dog and her cat, I wasn't getting from for the other people they were demonstrating, but for the 2 of them, I literally was crying when they were talking. When I saw each of their pets, I was feeling their pain because they're talking about how the pets take on your burden for you, right? They try to ease your burden by taking on your issues. So if your pets are having issues, you may very well have those same issues, and you're able to heal your pet. So that energy was coming up, but you can watch her thing about that. And 43 was coming up all over this read today, as well as 43 in a major way, but also the 13, the 31 rather, and the 13. So the reflections of each other, 31 and 13, 14 and 41, and then the 43 between. So yeah, and also like the energy between you and your children, right? Because your children are expressions of you. So things your children are going through, you may be doing some of the same work. So where you see similarities, it may not all be the same work, right? Because your children also have their father's or their mother's DNA. Where you see similarities in the work that needs to be done may help you identify an issue that you still need to work on. And the left hip for the feminine was definitely coming up here. Let's see here. All right, so this morning, when I was looking out the back window at the sink, that there was a pair, not just the one. I usually just see one cardinal back there, but the pair of cardinals was on the wire, and there were 3 wires. The masculine and the feminine were both on the top wire, so the top timeline. However, as the feminine bird moved off to the left, she was timeline jumping. So she would go down between the other 2 wires and come back up to the top wire, but the masculine cardinal did not. He stayed put. He moved a little bit, but not much. But he stayed put on the top wire on that top timeline while she went jumping back to the 3D and 4D and so on. But then, after she moved far ahead of him, she flew off the wire, which seemed to discombobulate him, like he was confused as where she went. He didn't understand. He already understood now the timeline jumping, but he was still confused about when she was healing others, because she would just disappear, right? Because she's going into the higher realms. So there was definitely a message there. As they were both moving in the same direction to the left, he was staying on the timeline, but she was timeline jumping between them. But again, when she flew off the grid, he got confused for a bit. He definitely understood the timeline jumping part, but when she was healing others, he was confused as to where she went off grid. But then at the end, it took him a minute, but then he followed behind her, and then he flew all of a sudden to catch up with her. But it took him a while to figure this out. And it was interesting with the 3 wires and the 3 timelines, because then I don't usually let Teddy out front with me when I go to water the plants and stuff, but I did this morning. So I went out to the front tree and I aligned my energy with the tree. So I put my back up to the tree for a minute and he came out with me. And then I usually come out twice to bring water out to the plants and to the tree. So, and when I tried to water the tree from up here, Teddy ran right under the water. So he got a nice little bath when I watered the tree today, which was pretty funny actually. So then it was 8:43, and I dealt the Metatron deck and the Nature Whispers deck already from 41 to 43. So Nature's Whispers coming up 43, which is coming up as the magic number there. And then I didn't do the Shaman Dreams until 8:58. But after I did the first 2 decks, the power went out right at 43 to 44. So 8:44, which actually is my life lesson number. The 3 piles, so I forgot that the energy company had given us notice they were going to turn the power off today, which they did, and it's back on now. But it was at 8:43 to 44 exactly. So at 10, 22, and 20 were the piles that came out for the 3 decks. The 10 is the high vibration of the Wheel of Fortune and Destiny, the 22 of the Fool's Journey, and then the 20 of the Wake-Up Call of the Judgment card. So the Destined Journey of the Wake-Up Call. With the Metatron deck at 9:03, I then went on to process it. The 31 of the Group and Heat, taking in the sun to the Shadow Pack. So it's the energy of bringing in the sunlight to you, and you transmute that energy and you keep a little shadow pack, you know, the shadow that you cast with the sun on you. It's like your little backpack of shadow, to use it to transmute energies, right, to bring them together, to meld. Thanksgiving every day of blessings and thanks and being in gratitude. Again, living like you have Thanksgiving every day. The 47 of the 7 of Cups of synchronicities and heaven in your eyes, of good food. And the yellow of joy and magic, the solar plexus of confidence. The 1 of the Magician and the 37 of the King of Cups and unconditional love. And the King of Cups here was being called to detach from drama and look up. And the numbers 31, 43, and then 717 all came up right here. The Divine Masculine has received blessings and thanks from the group. And now it's time to pollinate Buttercup, which is the Mary Magdalene energy, and detach from drama and look up. So again, Thanksgiving was coming up here too, the actual Thanksgiving coming up. You may want to do something special this year. At 9:17, the Hermit and the Star, or dreams coming true. And that could be something small as well. The first card here of the 14 and boundaries, the Temperance card of patience and balance and one step at a time, but putting up boundaries out and setting them every day, which actually was funny because we got the other fence for Teddy today, so we put up the boundary again for him. But again, doing your daily cutting cords and wrapping light around you, and perhaps using a magnet above your head to pull out the things that don't belong in your auric layers. And whatever you normally do for yourself, and it doesn't have to be one way, there's many different ways of doing it. The 27 of the Ace of Wands of Metatron Rainbow Bridge, to breathe with the weight, that's the weight, the wind beneath your wings is literally your lungs beneath your wings. Remember to breathe. And they're showing me the rainbow as 7 timelines, where the 3 are your lower chakra layer timelines, and then the 4 were off the grid in the upper chakra timelines, just like the birds on the wire. The 2 of the High Priestess, review and time out needed, where then I was guided to a picture of me and my father, where I look like my mother, but in that picture I look like my father. And he was literally telling me that when I'm in my high vibration, I look more like my father than my mother. The time in the, because our insides are matched, the time in the purple moon was coming up here for the feminine to meditate. And then I was guided to do something you do in remote viewing, not the remote viewing you're thinking of, but what they teach, like the CIA, to remote view with symbols and things like that. Is one of the techniques is to just take your pen and then drop it, and then scribble, and you get your signature. So I hadn't done that in a long, long time. So I did that today, and then I was guided to do it again in my read. So it had to do with my personal signature. But you can try that out. You can look that up on YouTube. They have instruction about remote viewing in that way. They'll teach you how, like the FBI or CIA teaches others to remote view. But I was definitely connecting there with my dad, and then he was giving me this whole long message about the different kids, because all these kids have been born into our family the past couple of years. They're all from, I think the oldest is, I don't know if I'm remembering this right, I don't know, 6 maybe? 5 or 6 is the oldest. So there's like 8, I can't remember, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 9? Oh my gosh, we have so many kids in the family. Okay, so I think there's like 9 babies. And I've already been guided which one is my dad, which one is my mom. And then today, and also now my grandmother's here, but her husband, my grandfather, I was already getting as one of my nephews, not my great nephews. So he's already here. And then I'm getting the Russian that was my grandmother's, my father's biological father that we never knew was Russian, and he's in, and now I've been told he's in one of the other kids. So I have my grandmother and her like twin that she was never with back in separate families. And then I was being called to actually reach out to one of my nephews as well, not the great nephew, but the nephew. But it's really funny too, because my grandmother and my mother did not like each other, and now they're going to be in two brothers' families. So I'm kind of interested to see how they relate to each other. So my dad was kind of calling out to me to understand this, so that I could explain that if anything comes up. It was really funny. Yeah, and also then it was coming up as both of her husband and the father of her child, my father, would be dealing with each other. So there's like, because my grandfather took care of my grandmother, it's like the biological father owes him for taking care of my grandmother, because he didn't show up for her. It was very interesting the way it was coming through. All right. So again, with Pico's our electric company doing work today. The power lines went out, but I knew it was supposed to happen. I forgot initially, but then my daughter said something that reminded me as I'm losing my voice. And I wanted to say city ventures. There's stuff about the city, but why did the power, the reason I'm losing my voice is because they're saying, why did the power really get turned off? They're telling me that it wasn't turned off for the reason they're telling me. And city ventures was also coming up. So stuff that has to do with the inner cities. And the energy of leaving the cities was coming up as well earlier today and yesterday. At 9:39 is the Hermit and the Knight of Cups. And the 5 of communication. And again, like the energy of communication and the mouthpiece, and me, like being, for example, being my father's mouthpiece, since he's no longer here in that form anymore, in that form anyway, because now he's one of my grand nieces. The King of Cups was coming up as one of my nephews. Again, the energy of being patient and balanced, the patient angels of the masculine. So point out the masculines who are very patient and balanced, inspired by the High Priestess and the Hierophant. So again, the energies that you'll be resonating or working with in the future. The 24 of the orange, and stretching and lunging to release that excess energy that's stored, right? You want to make sure you stretch to get all those pent up energy spaces, especially like under your arms, where nobody ever stretches there or ever gets a really good massage and underneath your underarm. So make sure to stretch your arms up and back, and stretch in a lunge with your arms up. I like doing the monk's pose a lot. But again, side to side too, don't forget, in all directions. The 45 of the purging and ending in the sunset, that you are held in the sunset. And again, like the pier, remember there's no such thing as a straight line, but there is in 3D. It looks like a straight line, but it's actually a curved line of the sine wave, just like the trail of the rocket ship. The pier is like the rocket trail. It's only the 3D compared to the 5D. The pier to the sunset was coming up as the front walk of your house, up to the purple moon, right? The moon behind your house, or the 0 point field. And then the Santa Monica Pier was coming up here. And by the way, Santa Monica Pier was opened, I guess, September 9th, so 9/9/1909, which is the next portal coming up. And the numbers were coming up 24, 45, 54, and 51. So they may be specific numbers that might help you if you're researching something or an address. Higher realms and magic and lilac were coming up there with the King of Swords and the 51 of the King of Swords, of white and purity and innocence, the diamond light and the wings. Remember that the light is the flame's height, and wings is the wind of God and Sophia, so the mother, father. The light expands the flame, it heightens like air and fire, fanning the flame. I was just getting Fanny. What's her name? From like Hee Haw, I'm getting Fanny. And that's coming up with the butt again too, where the sun never shines. The bottom of the deck here is the gold of the 16 of the Tower event, of epiphanies and sudden events, and sexual exchange perhaps as well. And at the top of the pile was the silver. So here we have the gold and the silver at either end. The silver is the 30 of the union, and suddenly home, the warrior of light, and the sword from the stone, the lighting of the path from sunset to the moon, and sunset strip. And this, they were bringing this up for me because there's a relationship to my dad and hookers, because the way we used to drive to work together sometimes, he would tell me that when he used to go to work on call, sometimes he'd see the hookers out there right by the freeway where we enter the freeway. So it's just funny. My dad's like that, so not that. He's a very introverted, shy person. But Sunset Strip was coming up in regards to LA, in regards to this, like the area of the hookers right before the boulevard or right before the highway. There's some kind of entrance there. And then Mother Mary was coming up, of the 29 in the blue Madonna, of being present with gifts. And then I'm getting with Madonna, I'm going to take you there. So you might want to tap into Mother Mary. She's going to help you get there. Aligned with the star. And then Prince was coming up. And it's weird because I've been getting the connection between Prince and my daughter. But Prince was coming up as not the singer Prince, but Michael Jackson's son Prince. That's right, correct? And then aligned with the star was Sirius, of course. And the 22 of the Fool's Journey and Archangel Sandalphon here, or Saint Dolphin, again referencing Lemuria and the Lyrans as well, and Bethlehem coming up here. And there is a Bethlehem in Pennsylvania, but I couldn't find one in the area of Santa Monica that was coming up. But there was a Bethlehem Lutheran Church in LA. And oh my God, it was on 7th and Washington. So the number 7's coming up here again. And I think that was Agora Hills or something like that. So at 10:43, so here's that 43 again of the Three of Cups, and that high vibration of destiny, the 30, 29, and 22 of the home and the gift of the journey and the fool. And Michael's mother was coming up. So again, there's a reference to mother, and someone just referenced, I just did a session with someone for me. She did the session with me, and she was talking about her getting Michael Archangel Michael and Christ as the same. And here now Michael's mother's coming up. So that's referencing Mother Mary, which is Christ's mother. So it's weird that's coming up right now. But Mother Mary and her sweet boy, which is coming up, is Mikey, because my mother's Mother Mary, and our dog that's like Jenna's dog was Mikey. He was an Australian Shepherd too. But again, I'm getting that sweet energy, which also can reference a sweet gay friend, because that's coming up for my daughter for sure. But again, the sweetness of a masculine. The sword and the lyra, the music, the sweet heart, the aqua rose gold mother's heart of love and relationships, and the 50 of emotional fulfillment and a happy family of signs from spirit with love, of the 49 of the single person who's happy and finding satisfaction within themselves before being able to have that happy expanded family. Being with the family when you wake up in the morning at sunrise, and the circles of life, of the Knight of Swords, the 53, of the tree, and the codependency, and the key to freedom of the 51 and the 52, which comes up as my mom and dad. They were both Gemini twins. They were born 7 years and 7 days apart. The king and the queen go back to the green, but they can never go back there again. They've come back to the green, our family, but they can't go back to the places they were before. The mother and the father, and the wake-up call to align to the inner children, the 46 of the inner masculine and feminine, the child who knows who she is, the mother calling the children home. Remember the tear, and then the keyhole is the 8 to the gold cup. The mother is calling her children home to the gold cup, or the golden coin, which is that Christ unity vibration. They're calling them to the gold cup. Remember, the gold is God, the ancient one. So calling them home to the gold cup is to light them up, upward, literally, to not settle, but remove the thorn from the side, from silver to gold, to not take second place, to go for the gold, from mother to son, from sword to stone, is the key and the lock, to align with the Holy Grail, God's rail, to infinitum, the whole of God's rail, to infinity and beyond, the sweet heart. So again, and also Gemini was coming up here again on this page right here, and the 52 of the Queen of Swords, and the Harley was coming up as the Chariot, and 1106 also came up, which is the Lover's alignment. So the destiny of the Queen of Swords, as I just whistled, and Tim is coming up here as well. Gemini and Aries were coming up here, and then the alignment of the 6 of the Lovers. The underlying energy of the 10 of destiny and high vibration, and opening up your heart, of the sweet heart. The 22 of the journey on the tightrope, to the 11 of alignment and justice, to decide on the 30 of the union, adventure of the mother and child, the 21 of the world, of the Pisces and the mother. Again, the world is the same thing as a Pisces and the mother. Gaia is the mother. The bridging of the worlds, the bridging of the homes. How can we all get along? How can we get along with the ETs if we can't get along with each other? The fresh approach to the child, and the number 2 of the Divine Feminine, High Priestess, the illumination of the butterflies headed for the moon. So again, the little daughters who are heading away from the core of the earth, separating from the mother, and just like the rays of the sun separating from the central sun. And the energy of the 34 of the energetic exchange of vulnerability, and allowing oneself to surrender and float, to go with the flow as the leaf falls, taking a nap and dream for a while of the destined swan, and opening of the heart, the dance of the swans as the blue baby blows a kiss, to fan your dreams, to make them come alive and stay alive. The 25 of the Knight of Wands, to keep your dreams alive, and the 48 of walking away and within of the 8 of Cups, to hope and happiness. There's the H and H of the 44 and 44. The wild child within, right? The 44 is becoming the 8 dance, the 8 and the 8 of the twins dancing side by side, to then bring in the third 8, which makes them the infinity symbol between the two of them, always together, back and forth. The wild child within. The 16 of the Tower of sudden inner truth. And at the bottom of the tree, at 11:15 of justice and alignment of the shadow side, at the bottom of the tree, near the lock and key, are the new worlds for you to explore. The mother manifests dream romance, while the child blows them a kiss, to visit the beach perhaps, and salty breeze, with tons of people and birds, headed for the shorelines, for August end, and the school years begin. Sudden realizations to transition to renewal of peace, as the baby in the nook of the tree allows themselves to be held by that potential gateway of the tree, right, which connects to many other things via its roots and its auric field. The 50 of the happy family, a whole nother world, a whole new world beneath the tree, at the trunk of the tree that we're never aware of because it's so tiny. The dream world, reflecting the tree, a baby left on your doorstep perhaps, a new bud that you thought would never come up. The world of the tree, and aligning with thee, to ground into their roots. So again, very much to, put your back up and align with the tree as well as other humans. You can sit back to back to align your energies perhaps before having a discussion about something you're not agreeing on. The 29 of the Three of Wands, and being present to your gifts and contemplating them. Contemplating the gifts of the butterflies and the lions and the King of Fire and the Queen of Air and the Page of Cups to show their support to the fairies and the flowers and the birds and the passers-by. The 1124 of the alignment of the Queen of Wands. And at this pile here, at the bottom of it all, was the 17 of infinite blessings. And at the top of it all was the higher ground of the 20. And the missing number here was the 19, because 20 and 18 and 17 all came up, but not the 19 of the sun. Seeing fairies in the flowers, and a wake-up call to the higher ground. The 32 of the journey, to trust your own understanding, close up and from way above, of lands and seas and the gaps between. And then the Delaware water gap came up, and the inlets, the 12 of the hanging man, seeing new perspectives, and the expansion mountain to mountain of peace treaties and rainbow bridges, and 4 + 4 balloons. And then here's where I was guided to do that remote handwriting again. And this was coming up as 1128 in Sagittarius, whereas the other one was coming up as 929 in Libra. So the left here, which is the letter L, is the right angle. So the right angle was coming up of 1, and the right angle of 1 again. So the 4 and the 4 is literally the right angle of 1 is the number 4. And there's 2 of those. So 2 right angles of 1, which is a quarter of a circle, right, 90 degrees, becomes the 180 degrees, or half of 1 and 1, which is 11, or half of 11, which is 55. Is the 5.5. It's the truth. The Excalibur, where the truth is never far behind. And they're referencing the 11 and the 12, because 12 is the final energy of the cycle, and the 11 is not far behind. And of course the 13 is the transition to another. The 9 of the Hermit, painting the sun rising out of the rainbow clouds in the perfect setting for a child to hug the tree and catch their breath, because they're going into the shadow side of themselves, teaching them how to ground for themselves as they go out on their own. The 15, remember to catch their breath and hug a tree when the shadow creeps in. With Pisces, Virgo, and Capricorn right here, after dealing with Aquarius and flights of fancy. The 37 of unconditional love and the ideal course of action, as, the community comes halfway, expecting the King of Cups, or sovereign energy, who's mastered their emotions, to meet them halfway. But she is letting them rise to the occasion and come all the way to her side, not to lower her vibration. The 19 of the sun, and shifting to the mothership, from the King of Cups on the ground as the 3D version of unconditional love, to the mothership in the sun, becoming the ark to carry them home. Right? So instead of meeting them halfway across, offer to take them there, like. So if they want to go for a ride, they have to rise to the occasion. And then she'll take them on her ship for a ride. The vehicle to lift them up off the ground. The inspiration of the 47 of laughter. And to play like children to raise their vibration. With Pegasus and Andromeda of pegging as us, or the US, to end the drama, Andromeda, and as the children play with their avatars. Little fairy girl chariot is making ripples to amp up their positive emotions in the calm waters, and then off to the sea where it's rough. From 7 to 8, from the calm before the storm to the 8 of the storm, first the ripples and then the waves, with a wide open heart making a splash in flash dance as she does a belly flop into those waves. 1141 is the justice of the love of the Holy Grail. The 7 to the 8 of the 78, which is heaven on earth, that 10 of Pentacles, in a breakthrough, unafraid of the storm. The butterflies are free to fly, so fly away, bye-bye. The 27 of the Ace of Wands and the inspiration to maintain childlike spirit even in the winter wonderland. The 43 of coming together once the ship has sailed, as the bird flies in to open up, or as love matters. So again, referencing that we're human, we have matter, so we have to be human too. The fleets of spaceships that are coming in, they're being referenced as the birds, are coming in to open up to those who see. And shooting star, as many stars become now more illuminated. So they're saying, again, keep looking up for the shooting stars. I haven't been doing it every night, but I haven't seen any yet. So in joy of coming together with you, they're making a light show. So they're saying they're like doing fireworks for you up in the sky, but it's only open to those who can see. And this is coming up in the fall as well. The joy of coming together with you in the fall. The 35 of the wounded warriors, culmination of vision. And when your love for life is running dry, you come and pour yourself on me. The 49 of getting your wish, of the 9 of cups, being happy with yourself and focusing on clearing the world and heightening your vitality to bring the colors back. The 33 of the Christ unity, to be gentle with yourself when you're feeling distant or unsure. And then Isabel was coming up. Isabel and Bella is coming up with Beetlejuice and Bellatrix, where Bella has tricks up her sleeve as the octopus teacher takes on foster child, the seahorse, or caring for others' pets and feeding them with emotions. And then at 11:51, a call came in from Edwards, California, which was weird. And that can reference Mr. Ed. 11:51 is the King of Swords and Justice, which can be a Libra, King of Swords. And in service of love, a labor of love, the 28 of the twin flames and their bountiful harvest, of the twin flames preparing the nest around the egg, the ethers around the world, to make magic wishes, as the Knight of Cups, 39, with a clear endeavor, is being love, turning back the hands of time by pulling up the blanket of spring after the summer feeding fest and going backward to the dandelion of blowing wishes in the spring, to the winter's blanket of snow, which is your mink cape, of Courmayeur was coming up, and a Russian princess may be now in the village, which is funny because I don't think of myself as Russian because I didn't know I had 1/4 Russian until I found out that my father's father wasn't his real father about 10 years ago or so, 10, 15 years ago. So, and I meant to look up Courmayeur. So let's see what comes up for Courmayeur right now. Not the word, the place, but so it's coming up as the course of. Let's see, just real quick. So core is about the core, like core of the earth. Let's see if I'll spell it right. The core of my year. And the timelines were coming up as God, the core of my God. So Courmayeur is coming up that, and that's where CERN is. Right, it's at Courmayeur. Courmayeur is where all 3 mountains come together, not just Switzerland and France, but Italy as well. That's Courmayeur. Courmayeur. Let me see something here. All right. So yeah, it's like it's the core of me and you. So Courmayeur is coming up as the core of me and you. Right, where the three mountains come together in the Alps. So it's like all of a sudden we're taking a retrograde motion here, right? So we're going back, turning back the hands of time. We're at the summer, but now instead of going forward right now, it's like the Indian summer is taking a review, a life review back over this past year and over your lifespan as well from birth. But let's see how this came up in the read. So turning back the hands of time, pulling up the blanket of spring after the summer feeding fest to dandelion. So the Dan, and that can be the Dan tribe, the Dananite people, but it's coming up as the Dan of the lion, the blowing of the wishes in the spring, to the winter's blanket of snow, your mink cape, you know, in Courmayeur, a Russian princess in the village, as the 42 is the Two of Cups, let love be your beacon, blushing orange in the fall and Halloween, armed with peacock at your side, who only has eyes for you, as all the animals gather around, and then back to the 18 of new experiences and possibilities, the vase of flowering, of the green night, of the butterfly round table, bringing spring all year round, new growth and hope and happiness, with the 17 of dreams coming true, and infinite blessings and fairy dust, and dreams come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. Yellow, white, orange, and green, cycling the solar sacred back to the heart, around again, that in the spring becomes the rose. At 12:05, the hanging man and freedom of change and expansion. At 10:52 and then 11:51 was bringing up the 51 and 52 of the King and Queen of Swords again, from the destiny to the alignment, the calls to the Harleys, the vehicles, and the ED of Mr. Ed and his vehicles. So again, the fleets are coming in the sky. The 12:08 of the hanging man and the dance, and the underlying energy of the 20 and the feast of plenty, the wake-up call. The 53 of the Knight of Swords, and the stranger who's curious to dive. The 33 of the bridge, the 40 bridge, and the inspiration of the joyful muse of the inner child, or music. The 50 of the 10 of Cups, and the spirit of the river, and the movement to adventure. And the 27 of the flame and the inspiration of the heart, home, and compassion, the calm of passion. And then at 10:20, as I turned the page, it was 51 with the King of Swords and the stars in the sky, where he's sitting in the middle of a dark bridge with limitless possibilities looking up at the stars. And then at 12:21 was the 30 of union of the horseman. It's like the Knight of Swords, heralding in the changes of union, and the 17 of dreams coming true, and the eye of the needle with clear intent and squint. The King of Swords with union dream, and the 43 of coming together at the Taj Mahal in the overwhelm of good and plenty. The 58 of the 5D connection, the Four of Swords of the vanishing mirror, as the particles collide in ego sublimation. The 5D connection of diving and rising, diving and rising, diving and rising, until the glass ceiling breaks and it crashes all over the place. In the crown games of 21, in right use of power, in the removal of the crown to open things up to a whole new world. The root girl, the 46 of the inner children and the disowned self. The sun with union dreams, inspired to come together in the 5D connection and dance. But the little girl misses her soulmate, her sweetheart. He is her disowned self. The 23 of the King of Wands and Fortune's wheel of luck and right timing, and the falling angel in the sun. The angle on the sun in the fall. And there's that reference to Chichen Itza again. He, master of thoughts, and she, master of passions. The archer and the lion's den. the sword and the stone, the leap and the collider, as one leaps and the other falls, the leap to abundance and the overflow of the falls to Cannonball, Swan Lake to Cannonball Run, the placid of the toboggan and the sky jump, and then down over Niagara Falls, to get it all out of your system before the dragon's horde of the 12 and hanging out, protecting your future. At 12:37, which came up 12:21. Literally on this page was 12:21, and then the two cards at the end were side by side, 12 and 21 at 12:37, which is the Hanging Man and the 37 of unconditional love. December 21st, 12:21 was the card 21 after the number 12, hanging out, protecting the future, and the 21 of the first breath of the beginner's mind after the rewind. Like that play out, like in the movies of going back to the very beginning of your time, your very first breath, and still being connected with the planet's whispers. So as a baby, still hearing them, being very still and one with the universe, the universe, one verse, the angels' chorus, the core of us. The verse is a small section of the holy book or anthem, one voice per part, one composition of poetry, to oppose or to pour yourself on them, to overturn yourself on me. If a man could be two places, at what time I'd be with you, tomorrow and today, beside you all the way. And now a man can be two places at one time, one voice to pour on another, in hopes they resonate and sing the same duet, knocked down, overturned, until they roll into one chorus, the core of us, the one or two and the all. The 20 cards here came up again as the wake-up call, where at the bottom of it all is the one and a tidy house, and the top of it all of the 57 of the unmarked trail and revelations. The labyrinth you must walk, the green labyrinth that you must walk before getting to the main pressure. The pregnancy before the delivery and the final push. To separate as humans. The 52 of the Queen of Swords, who's already straddling both worlds, as mother and child, both at the same time. The 56 of the Two of Swords and the wall. The projector, the hole at the back of the movie theater, the hole in the wall as they watch the show. At 12:49 is the Hanging Man and self-satisfaction of getting your wish. The projector hole at the back of the movie theater, and knowing it's there, projecting, even though you don't see it while you're watching the movie. It's always behind you, backing you up. The 12:50 of the Hanging Man and the Happy Family, over the moon, watching the show, as the 28 twin flames hollow themselves or humble themselves to be the student again. Rocky and Bullwinkle, the bull's win is key. The flesh and the bone, the soft and the hard. And the 18 of the moon, the purple moon and 0 point field. The eyes of the eagle, and I was getting Field of Dreams. The eyes of the eagle, the oracle, the round circle, the rising above the fray. The seeing with a feminine's open lens as opposed to the needle of intent and the squint, where he sends me and she his receiver. 8:28 coming up, as well as 9:18 and 10:14, as the drifter experiences life as it comes. And the 54 of the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords crossing half the trunk, half of the King of Swords. And are they willing to share half of themselves to initiate with the Page of Cups, 40, and their group think, full of color and mindful, the 37 of the King of Cups and the Magi Sword. The King of Cups is willing to sacrifice the Page of Cups in the folding layers of their sword, with confidence in their magic, but is the Page of Swords willing to do the same? The 64 of the 10 of Swords, which is the Woodwives, needing to adapt to the space between, and this can be the children, right? The roots, the offshoots of the trunk of the tree. The Woodwives needing to adapt to the space between, experiencing bliss as opposed to pain, or as opposed to ending pain, now just being in bliss. And the 35 of the wounded warrior who lost their way and getting back to integrity now as the star in the vertical and the horizontal pillarkers. What is pillarkers? The pill occurs. The pill occurs. Pill occurs. And now I'm getting the course, but also I'm getting Courmayeur again. The star in the vertical and the horizontal pillars, which becomes the star in the middle, the diamond. The 41 of self-love, spiritual love, and new love, of the Ace of Cups, and the Moon Maiden, made of the sea. Carrying, remember that the daughter is the core of the earth, which is the sea and the land. But it's coming up here as the Moon Maiden is made of the sea, the salty sea, whereas the Masculine is coming up as the fresh water, carrying the weight of the water, underwater, right? She's very comfortable under the water, deep in the emotions. For new beginnings, holding the sphere up with the buoy, right? So she's under the world or the moon or the buoy, which is just the real live buoy. The 34 of the energetic exchange with the king of the hill, who's able to see the lay of the land from atop of the mountain where she's under the sea. He's able to see the crop circles and the ancestral wisdom there, where the land or the red land meets the green sea and seaweed. In love and energetic exchange with each other, the Holy Grail or God's rail, the arrows of love to the net, and the 2 of Cups coming together in preparations that have come now to fruition, to a fruity, flavorful, juicy, and colorful connection. The 11 of the alignment of justice, truth, and balance in the deep quiet, the purple haze, on the journey of the jeweled web of connectivity, and Santa Claus, where Santa is a saint, but it also means to limp and hobble and lame, where Claus is the claw of the key and the nail and the F to have sex, to clean. And there's this distortion about what's dirty and what's clean, because dirt is not dirty, right? To clean, the curly bracket also comes up, and then the clause of the close, the end, to shut, to amend, the sentence or the section, the part of the legal document. At 111, the magician and justice. The saint to clean, the lame to have sex, the limp with key to hobble and nail shut, to close, end, or amend. Clauses for both the saint and the lame, the clean and the dirty, the heaven and the earthly, that you are both, and don't deny either. The 47 of the 7 of Cups, of synchronicities in heaven in your eyes, and the sky bridge with possibility for union, as synchronicities and choices build the Antakarana bridge, or the space that naturally fills in here. The twin towers to twin flames, which is the name of my CD, by the way. It's called Ashes, Twin Towers to Twin Flames. From twin towers to twin flames, 9/11 to 9/11, as we're approaching 9/11. In the rumble of the rubble, and 2 flames lit, as the Pleiadians take the stage with a serious connection with the sun. I heart Christ unity and 0 point. So I love New York is coming up, but capital N for me is the Christ unity consciousness, and the 0 point is the Y, is the 0 point field. So I heart NY is I love the Christ unity consciousness at the 0 point field. At 121 is the magician and the world. At ground 0, heaven on earth. So literally I'm getting again of the Pleiadians coming to meet the angels at the Statue of Liberty and ground 0. The 39 of the Knight of Cups and the Metox in the Trinity repair, the repairing, the bathtub of the Aborigines of the green and yellow, of nature, right? Not just the Aborigines of the desert, but of the natural, the green and yellow of growth. The nature after being love, the 60 of the Watchers and peace, the totem, the 2 piggyback, the tiger and the lion, but now they look like the same because there's no color between them. They see no color in each other. They only see each other. And they're great. Hakuna Matata, which means no problems. The tiger and the lion. As the tiger and the lioness, the tie-on, come together. 1-to-1 of the 126 of the Magician and the Page of Wands, of piggyback in the desert of peace, at the 1 of the Magician, the masculine, and the Magician's tidy house of dirt and wood and clarity and organization, organs all in their correct place, organs and eyes at the connection, the keyboards and the eyes have it. And then the tidy house was coming up as TIDY, which TI is source, and DY can be many things, but it's coming up here. First it was coming up as dysprosium, which is, its abbreviation is DY, but it's number 66 found in Xeno time. And Xeno means alien, so alien time. And Xeno is the element xenon, but that's where the dysprosium is found, in the xenon, the Xeno time. So DY comes up as die, already, thigh, the number 2, so the pair, to strain oneself, right? So it's source to die, right? Because we're all dying. Source the 2, source to strain oneself. And then coming up as source, Queen of Pentacles, because she's the 66, and he, in duty and delivery. Source, Queen of Pentacles, and he, duty and delivery, which is coming up as tidy, TIDY. As well as source, Xeno time, which is source, foreigner, source, alien, source, strange or stranger, and offspring and full time. It was very interesting the way that was coming up. All right, so now we got through, and I just finished this book too, right on the end of my notebook. And now we're going to go back to the 7-deck read on the table, as those 2 were very long. This one is not long. It's pretty quick, actually. So yeah, so it's like half the size of my normal 7-deck reads. All right, so this was done last night. This was done at 5:55. The Syrian Starseed duck was cut and dealt at 5:55, a whole lot of change. And at 6:03, Lysis came up, as well as Isis. So Isis as in ice cubes, but also Isis was coming up. And maybe someone has lice. And then we have 6:03, which is the Lovers and the 3 of the Empress. And then I finished clarifying at 6:17, which is the Lovers and the Star. And the major arcana was the Tower, Solar Deity, and the Reflection. So the Tower, the Sun, and the Hermit. Let me just pull up the picture here for you so you have it. All right, so here's the 7-deck read on the table, and there's the 7 again. So it's the 7 is the calm before the storm, right? It's also the Chariot of Cancer going into Leo. The quiet within, right? The spiritual side of things, right? Because the natural way of things here is the 6, and then source is the 7. The numbers that came up here is the 3 swords, 3 pentacles, 1 wand, and 1 cup. So 33 and 11 came up again. So 33 of the bridge, of the Christ unity consciousness to get to the other side. The 11 of justice, which is also the 60 of instant manifestation and alignment. We had double 1s, double 2s, double 3s, double 4s, and double 7s here, and double 10s. All right, that never happens, rarely. Double 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 7, and 10s. And the only other number that came up was, in a lesser sense, the number 6 of the Lovers, or love, family, and community. So 11 is justice, 22 is the Fool's journey, 33 is the Christ vibration, 44 is the grounding, integrating, and mastering of receiving of love, and getting to the other side, right? The lap dance to get to the 8 dance, and the 77 of the sovereignty, and then the 10-10 of that very high vibration to remind you to always keep that very high vibration, and the 6 of love, family, community, and the Lovers. We also had the 1, 2, the 12 of the Hanging Man was significant here. and 1, 2, 3, 4, shut the door. 46 of the inner children, and then 67 of the Knight of Pentacles, the loyal humble servant, and the 710, which is 0 backing up the 71 of the 3 of Pentacles, which for me is the co-creation card. The code line was all about the number 2 and the divine feminine, high priestess energy, the 2, and karmic completion. As far as the court cards that came up was the King of Pentacles and the Page of Swords in the read. Before the read was the Queen of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles, and after the read was the Knight of Swords. It's all about karmic completion here. Oh, I'm sorry, change and parenting came up as well. So karmic completion, change, and parenting. So source timeout is coming up as AI here, Act 2. And then Sophia in parentheses was there. The master of seeking thought information, or thoughts and words, kills the human. The reflection is not centered. And energy is armic, or armed, and needs to be calm here. Or armed and calm at the same time. The energy of dropping ash or drips. Again, AI coming up, and the alternating currents to master the Page of Swords, the message. To reflect any lack of balance here. And again, at a moment's notice, being able to correct the imbalance as you're dancing between the masculine and the feminine, and the 3D and the 5D. The message of Lake Titicaca was coming up here as well, or Mount, and also was coming up as the New World Monkey. Where is it? So the New World Monkey, the South American or the tree of South US with glossy leaves and white flowers. The energy of the breast, the nipple, the udder, the meat, the baby bottle, to meddle, to use up or street. Lard or girl, the duck and the bridge, the lead, the tin, chick, pig, penis, drained off. So again, there's both masculine and feminine sexual parts coming up in this definition. Drained off by dropping, a continuous drip. The base bottom to carry for a long time until the path, the journey. And different kind of monkeys were coming up, but they were both New World monkeys. So the New World monkey and the Saju, the Capuchin monkey, so the 2 different categories of New World monkeys, which has to do with American monkeys. Also, the vulture and the monkey and shit came up. Blood, bridge, and to blow, wedding. Not right, proper, to give an order, fruitful, male, boy, belt, ribbon. To waste or squander, to lose or pour. To saw and to bloom all came up. So the alternating currents of 2 masters of the message, the Page of Swords. The to hermit when you're feeling off, to go within and hermit. So again, the alternating currents of the dance of the 2, mastering of the message, the Page of Swords, and the to hermit when feeling off. The Ace of Swords is the first card, the underlying energy here. All right, so the bottom card of the deck with the mini cards on top right here is that card. I'll just move that over a little bit. The Ace of Swords is upright, and below that is the 3 of Cups, the 3 of Wands upright, and the Page of Wands reversed with the Queen of Cups upright, and the Knight of Pentacles reversed. So coming together to be present, a gift, moving, visiting, unstable, with the Queen of Cups being blocked from offering the truth perhaps, walking away from the Page of Pentacles reversed in need of help, on a quest to spend the family's money when stressed out. So that could be, retail therapy there, as I'm losing my voice a little bit there too. And this is right at 8 o'clock, so a lot of source energy backing up the dance of the 8 and manifesting of dreams. So in need of help, that Page of Pentacles reversed, on a quest to spend family's money when stressed out or when they lose their footing. So when they're feeling uncomfortable, they spend to feel better. The joy in presence and being present of the homecoming of the Queen of Cups upright, But the Knight of Pentacles reversed, with the truth of hearing the Page of Pentacles reversed, is behind or leaving them behind. Here's the Knight. There's a lot of Pentacles here. The Knight of Pentacles reversed, with the truth of leaving the Page of Pentacles behind, and that can be an older sibling leaving them behind, or a couple, whoever it is. Or they gave the truth to them and walked away. On a quest with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community, of dysfunction or loss, to end the stress, the nightmare, the suffering in silence, or dealing with a sister, or tripping up. The Knight of Pentacles reversed faces the Knight of Cups, who's upright, the Two of Cups face to face after breaking something, or after not sharing or not accepting a gift where they didn't know any better. At night, present and not liking to be alone, needy for attention from the Queen of Swords reversed, who may not be wanting to talk. At 808, so there's that 8-8 of Lionsgate, and the dance as well with space between, falling off the horse or failed after they were dissatisfied with the present, or being present with you or they gave at the to Queen of Swords reversed. Perhaps not ready to retire, but no attention to be had either, right? Maybe someone's wanted some attention before bedtime, and the other one doesn't feel like going to bed yet, but they don't want to talk either. The King of Cups reversed may be sad after a sudden event, or just got yelled at. And the Knight of Pentacles reversed, unable to function with the establishment, Taurus, the Hierophant, or afraid to get in trouble or to get disciplined. True love comes up here, and below that, attraction. As cuddling in a chair, the King of Swords and the Knight of Wands. Perhaps Two of Cups making love, and then the Ten of Cups family unhappy, or they dissatisfied here. And that could be, two kids getting caught in the chair, when the parents were out. The Knight of Wands brings dessert and chocolates, but still not enough. So this could be someone, no matter what they do, it's never enough for the partner. The Knight of Wands is on fire or rescued them, but once the fire's out, they push them aside and they don't want anything else. So someone using the other for sex, but they don't really like them and they don't spend any time with them. So there's that kind of energy coming up here. Personal growth is coming up, number 7, which is the Chariot, and beneath that, self-love, very significantly as well, which is coming up as number 61, the risk. The risk to ascend, to love yourself and ascend and grow. The Nine of Pentacles reversed of the dependent who's unstable or moving or visiting, or powerless one where now the party is over. The dependent powerless star, or powerless to the dream. The King of Wands reversed may be tired, and the Knight of Swords, he may be tired with these two knights. The King of Wands is reversed, so he may be exhausted because of the Knight of Swords upright and the Knight of Pentacles, who are both upright, but he's being challenged by them, and maybe they're just always sparring with each other or making a lot of noise or going out, and leaving the Queen of Cups reversed behind with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community, who are dealing with dysfunction or loss to deal with, or kids with friends over all the time and making too much noise. Or the Knight of Pentacles is upright, leaving the little ones home with the Queen of Cups reversed, who can't deal with them, and or vice versa. So that could be a mother or father who's living at home with the couple as well. So we have the Tower upright, or a sudden event. And then going forward after this is the justice of bleeding out, of having poor judgment, where Atlas is coming up with the weight of the world, in pain without call, and yet resisting by working too hard. The Queen of Pentacles is upright, the Queen of Wands is reversed, together, seeing synchronicities and making choices that may have caused a heated exchange or arguing or delays, and losing patience with the wounded warrior giving up, and breaking up with the world upside down and all stressed out. At 8:33, the dance of the unity consciousness, the Christ vibration, or learning how to receive love, is the recently, or standing up for oneself. The recent past here is the Seven of Pentacles, the Divine Feminine's heart, and the Queen of Cups, withholding and not sharing, and the High Priestess reversed, or Pisces reversed, who's not expressing their true feelings about holding on or saving, and the Page of Cups, imprisoned or imprisoning others by having to take care of them. The Four of Wands of the home reversed, moving for work, or the Divine Masculine's heart closed up, as the King of Pentacles upright and the Nine of Pentacles is reversed. This can be a dependent spending, or doesn't want to pay for any more employees or any extra kids there, or the Divine Masculine sees the Divine Feminine as high maintenance here. The foundation here is the Two of Swords reversed with a new life, about receiving sexual energy or a passionate offer, and offering truth to the group or friends with third party, and the Page of Swords reversed in negative self-talk, or lying and spying and mouthing off about walking the pet and not wanting to do that, or taming their beast, or the Leo's world upside down, or around the neighborhood, or around the block, or just Pisces reversed. The central energy is the King of Pentacles facing their fears without option, and the King of Pentacles awake, challenged by the Page of Swords reversed, offering love to the Hermit to shed light on them. The Hermit losing patience or defensive to the fallen angel, and justice present or justice in gifts, perhaps starting over, detoxing, for the Knight of Wands to come riding in. The Hermit healing, or is the healer, the Seven of Cups of the dreamer, of the magician, workaholic, or in an all-business relationship that's not working out, in exile without even an olive branch. And the Knight of Cups offering love to the Ten of Pentacles, reversed family of dysfunction or loss, and I'm totally losing my voice. Knight of Cups is upright, but they're offering love to a dysfunctional or family going through loss, destined to present the truth to them, or the Knight of Cups counting on Libra to tell the truth to Pisces reversed, or to the secret passion walking away from shameful one to go heal their heart and I can't talk at all, or dysfunctional family the dysfunctional family is trying to get them to go apologize, heal, or forgive, or this could be a family going through a loss and perhaps feeling for the other party. And now present is the Ace of Pentacles reversed, in need of a breakthrough, the Hermit to heal, the Lovers reversed, Wounded Warrior reversed, surrendering, giving up, seeing synchronicities and options with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, family, business, or community of dysfunction or loss. Pushed to the limit, withholding from sudden jealous rage of the Queen of Wands reversed, who's over it. Destined for the King of Wands reversed and the Empress to reunite, no longer obsessing with the Divine Feminine in 5D or Pisces reversed, and the Magician stealing energy or ideas from the ex, and the Page of Cups unable to express their emotions. At night or in a romantic situation, caught in the woods or caught with their pants down, with new information and clarity coming in of the King of Swords upright, with the Ten of Cups reversed, unhappy family, or the ending of emotional cycle, and overworking, destined to have women around, or not working out with the Ten of Cups reversed family, who are all unhappy, and there's nothing you can do to please them. Or the King of Swords Libra is needing to use their intuition, with the High Priestess reversed, leaving in order to guilt them into healing, or not separate, or not divorce or leave them. And that could be a Pisces reversed, or just someone who's not using their intuition as well. And soon here is the Tower of Sudden Dissatisfaction, with Saggy and Scorpio both reversed, resting on break or meditation, praying, or losing patience and sudden death or exhausted. Unhappy with self or with being alone, with Scorpio upright with Aquarius, or Star Emperor without peace and synchronicities and options, with soulmate or loving kids. The King of Swords is upright, but the King of Wands is reversed. Could be an accident here too, or worried about losing their star player. Twin flames seeing themselves as the twin flames reversed, the Two of Wands reversed, without option or unable to implement right now, with the Queen of Pentacles upright on vacation or with kids or pets, reaping rewards of poor judgment and defenseless to the energies under the radar. The King of Swords reversed and the Wounded Warrior surrender to the Two of Cups upright with the Queen of Pentacles, coming together with the Queen of Pentacles. So pay attention to the red flags. Reconciliation and new love come up, as well as passion, and stay optimistic about your love life. Around the twins, or how they're seen, is the solar deity upright, the soulmate, the Knight of Cups upright, offering love to the Page of Wands reversed, and the Queen of Swords reversed, who might have fallen and gotten hurt. The block here is the reflection, the Hermit in exile, and the hard work, the karmic completion with change and parenting, and the Page of Wands reversed with the Four of Wands reversed, uninspired to move. The Ten of Cups is reversed, destined to be unhappy and broken, or in a breakup, or down, or through. And the King of Swords with the Ten of Cups reversed, perhaps overworked or not working out, and the Ten of Cups family may be stuck or not sharing the inequity of the Knight of Swords holding their tongue, with the Divine Masculine's heart in the Batcave, ending pain by passing downloads at work at 9:09, which is the next portal coming up in September. So I'm only going to pull an energy deck card because it's already over 2 hours, so I don't want to keep it any longer. So what is our takeaway from all this? Just a quick energy card, please. It's 4:46 on the clock. So the 4 of the Emperor, the 46 is the inner children and outer children. As we have the 205, this 20510, which is the High Priestess, the Hierophant, and the Destined High Vibe New Journey. So the Hierophant and the High Priestess, right, who are very different. One's according to society, and the other one's alternative. And them coming together in a high vibe destined inner child union. And what is our last piece of information, the final takeaway? And that came right up, is the 42 of the Two of Cups and the woman holding a coin. So again, this could be, she doesn't come up as the friendliest energy, right? And this can be the mother who holds the power in the relationship here. The 42, whether it's a mother, an aunt, a grandmother, or a wife, or a twin flame, whatever it is. She doesn't look real happy, but she's very stable and she has a lot of power there. And we have the 30 of the union here, of the home, the garden, the gate. So there's that energy between like kind of a the controlling mother and the anxious little girl, which can be the same person, right? So she's trying to maintain control of her life because her inner child is scared to leave the house space, so to speak. And there's these two little butterflies, like the two cardinals on my back wire this morning, guiding her to lead the little girl to come out and play, right? And then that will rebalance her so she's not in that power energy anymore of extremes, because these two are extremes. Those are the polarities there of the mother and child relationship, or your inner child. And then here's the dark mother coming up of the envy and judgment of the wake-up call here. So it's very interesting because it's coming up not as her being the dark mother, but here's the dark mother. She's coming up as the perpetrator, and she's coming up as the savior, right? And she could be giving a dirty look to the dark mother over here, not to her inner child. She's trying to protect them. I like how that came up. It never came up that way before. So this is the one who's trying to protect them and being the savior, but it's still a polarity that you don't want. So the one who has to change this is the little one between. She's got to shift in order to pull these two in so that they no longer affect her. So then they're just like this, and they're just kind of in the background, but not really affecting her. And then she becomes balanced and no longer afraid. Very interesting there. But they're all coming up as feminine energies here, including the next one. And this could be two sets of mothers and children here, right? Mother and child over here, and maybe grandmother and child over here, right? These could be siblings. Okay, they could be the older one and the younger one. They're very different. And the different mothering styles with each one. That could be the same mother. So very much about the mother and daughter right there. And then the adjacent possibilities of the Queen of Wands. So it's the Empress and the Queen of Wands that came up in the read too, or in my notes with the time. So the Empress and the Queen of Wands, and the dynamics that I just brought up between all the different dynamics that can happen between a mother and their daughter, or the mother and her inner little girl. And this can be for the father too, but specifically the feminine's coming up here in the caring connections of the 14 of that higher love, right? Not wanting to be the savior or the perpetrator, but allowing the child, showing them the way and allowing them to do it themselves. The 21, here's that 7's coming up, 7, 14, 21. The 21 of completion, the 14 of the higher love. And this is coming up as the strategy, the journaling, I'm gonna take you there. And then Mother Mary's coming up again too. So again, Mother Mary and all of her children, she's gonna take you there if you tap into her energy. all right, of the Two of Cups. And again, this is the Two of Cups energy, but coming up with the 14 of that higher love, and feeling whole and complete, and making a strategy between the masculine and the feminine, the 1 and the 2. And the next card behind that, remember this is the underlying energy, is the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra of not feeling like it, but to make a plan once things are complete, right, to get initiated again into this energy of the Two of Cups and in a higher love, though. And then coming up as like practicing with your children, so and your inner child. It's coming up as the mother who's the savior with the child who's anxious, because she's in between. She's the victim of the perpetrator and the savior here. Or it's just, you know, this could be a heavy-handed mother or controlling mother who then polarizes with the daughter who's now scared. But the victim is the one who has to make the shift in order to pull the polarities in. And again, they could be the same mother with 2 different kids and totally different parenting styles. Or maybe there are 2 different mothers together with 2 different kids because they're in the same relationship or in different relationships but friends. So again, comparing mothering styles, and again, seeing the polarity in your relationship with your children. It's like, who's the victim, who's the perpetrator, and who's the savior? And even the savior is not supposed to be there, because they're supposed to be teaching them to save themselves, not saving them. And here's about the Queen of Wands and the adjacent possibilities. Like if one window falls out, there's always another one. But now you have to try and do it yourself. I showed you how to do this one, and that one didn't work. So now you try the next one on your own and see if that can work. And again, the underlying energy of that higher love of being in one-to-one relationship, but specifically with the feminine energies. And this can be the masculine's energy too, even with a masculine and their sun. But it can be the feminine side of their masculine sun. All right, so I'm going to leave it there because she's going to take you there, Mother Mary, that is. So remember to drink your water every day, right? You need to connect with your higher self, and it helps you feel good because your body is made of water, and you don't feel good if you don't drink. You know, as clean water as you can. And your rest, make sure to get plenty of rest so you are a happy person. Get your joy in your nature. Go hug a tree or align your back with a tree to ground yourself if you feel ungrounded. And rise and be love. Love and rise. You know the drill. I'll see you soon, guys. Have an amazing day. Breathe.